Starting off, I just want to say that there won't be any lore or major story spoilers in this episode, but just so you know, the Ashlands are kind of a big deal, and you won't be able to waltz right into them either, because the Ashlands shares a border with Sonar Stark, and you have to have what scientists call cojones of steel to get through Sonorus alive. When you do arrive in the Ashlands, you'll likely experience a mix of emotions at the sight of the white, snow-like ash blanketed across the terrain. But your thoughts of Crimbus will slowly fade away as you realize the white facade of ash hides the truth. Whatever civilization existed here has decayed beyond recognition. Fitting with the barren landscape, you won't find any fertility or water in the Ashlands, which makes living here an ambitious goal for non-skeleton characters relying on food. Resource deprivation doesn't stop here either, since most of the zone has no iron, copper, or stone. Right out of the gate, then, you'll want to make plans to siphon off some of the water from Sonar Stark, either by building on the border or having a splinter group settle where there is water. One skeleton character with decent toughness could man the splinter settlement and just keep repairing and getting back up if they are attacked. But the easier route, which I took, was just settling on the border. In doing so, you can get water, stone, and superb iron and copper ore veins. This spot in particular gets high marks for me because you don't have to set up in Sonar Stark itself. You'll actually be in the Ashlands. The reason why being in the Ashlands here is so important is because the skin bandits won't send raids into this part of the map, which is a major plus compared to other Sonar settlements, which are going to have to deal with constant skin bandit attacks. The Ashlands also has consistent wind and no acid rain. Going back to the issue of food though, hydroponics are mandatory for farming, so bring what you'll need for that. And as usual, take all the hemp that you can so that you can self-sustain on your own fabrics and medical supplies. You're going to be so far away from the nearest settlements, so being as independent as possible is ideal. The first enemy spawn we talk about is going to be unique to the Ashlands. You're not going to find this anywhere else. You see, there are these massive cleanser units in the Ashlands. And even though they are seldom discussed on forums, they are some of the best hunting targets in the game. They have a modest attack value in the 30s, so your experienced characters won't get hit often, and their HP pool is the second highest in the game. So aside from Leviathans, cleanser units are the next best target for range training. Cleansers also have a very forgiving attack animation, with there being a wind up before the hit actually lands, so they don't make it difficult to kite around them with your ranged characters. And I hope you're seated right now, because get this, cleansers drop over 50,000 cats worth in loot. And not only that, they drop an AI core, which you may be fiending after when trying to complete the later techs in the tech tree. The other loot they provide is practical as well. Iron plates, copper alloys, and electrical components will be much needed as you build out your base. The smaller skeleton spawn groups you'll see will be Legion Scouts. These groups default to using crossbows against you, which makes them particularly dangerous if your characters don't have medium or heavy armor on. Fighting them might be worth the risk though if you're looking to outfit your characters or make a quick dollar. The armor Legion units wear can be high quality, and their cleaver sidearms are pretty darn good too. Why craft or buy what you can take from the locals? Am I right? The most dangerous skeleton spawn in the Ashlands is going to be the Legion. These are massive groups of around 30 skeleton units equipped with polearms and ranged weapons. And although these legions will hit much harder than a pack of skin bandits, let's say, a legion is merely interested in knocking you unconscious and nothing more, which makes them more friendly for training purposes. Be careful though, because you're likely to take a significant amount of damage fighting a legion. Those polearms have armor-piercing damage, and those ranged weapons give them guaranteed hits on you. However, it is worth mentioning that their samurai leg plates reduce their athleticism skill, so you won't see them moving any faster than around 70 miles per hour, which makes them slower than their skin bandit brethren. And as you've no doubt seen before, there are iron spiders in the Ashlands, and they're very common. Their groups can be quite large, and with their attack skill just high enough to pose a risk to experienced characters, you're better off avoiding them if you can. Now, if you settle where I mentioned earlier, skin bandits will not schedule attacks on you, but reavers will. That said, if you're building a base in the Ashlands, a reaver attack group probably isn't going to concern you. For our base setup here, we went with a double gate design since we have plenty of space to work with, and we wanted to be sure to give ourselves plenty of time to take down spiders so that their high damage attacks don't make it up to our farmers and our crafting staff. Even so, I have to be honest, our well-designed defense was never tested in our time here, since this base ended up being one of the most peaceful settlements in the entire series. No drama, rarely any skin bandits, and the skeleton legions aren't common since we're pretty far from the center of the Ashlands. For good measure, I went AFK and waited at my gate for several days to see if anything would attack, but nothing. Just the eerie calm of falling ash and spinning wind generators. Here we are, past the edge of civilization, just an earshot away from the most terrifying faction in Kenshi, and yet there's peace. Not what I was expecting at all. What's wonderful about having a calm base like this in the eye of the storm is it frees you up for exploration. You can take fights when you want to, and then retreat back when your characters are injured. And if you haven't explored around the southeast portion of the map, you absolutely need to. So hey, why not stake your claim here, build some mattresses, and prepare lodging for your battered, bruised, and de-limbed comrades. Better yet, why not craft some of the finest crab armor on the continent so your faction can travel the entire map without so much as a complaint. The story is up to you. But I will say that comparing the Ashlands alongside other zones just doesn't feel quite right. There isn't another region this deep in enemy territory, and if you did try to escape with a wounded squad, you'd probably end up as leather or lunch for another faction. So I wouldn't say that this territory is worth settling unless you want to prove yourself. And even though this particular location is incredibly peaceful, the interior of the Ashlands is not. So maybe that's where the strength of this base lies, in providing shelter as your faction sets off to conquer the most difficult region in the game. Totally up to you, but either way, bring some sleeping bags because those skeleton legions are going to rough you up once you forge deeper into the Ashlands. For those of you tuning in 2024 or the start of 2025, this channel is in a really exciting place. We just hit 10,000 subscribers, and I'm super pumped for what we're going to be up to next year. If you have any regions that I haven't covered yet or guides you'd like to see for Kenshi, feel free to comment below with those, as I'll be planning out what we'll be taking a look at in the upcoming year. Thank you as always for your support, and good luck keeping all your characters in one piece. Take care.